Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you step by step how to install Windows 7 on VirtualBox in a quick and easy way that's perfect for beginners. Whether you want to run older software, test programs safely, or just explore Windows 7 again, this tutorial will guide you through the entire process. We'll cover everything from setting up VirtualBox, creating your virtual machine, and installing Windows 7 smoothly without confusion. Make sure you stick around until the end, because I'll also share some useful tips to help improve performance and make your virtual machine run better. Alright, let's get started. You'll need to download and install VirtualBox on your computer. Once VirtualBox is installed, open it up and click on the New button to create a new virtual machine. This will open a setup window where you can start configuring your virtual system. In the new virtual machine window, click on Virtual Machine Name and Operating System to expand the section if it's not already open. In the VM name field, enter a name for your virtual machine. You can choose any name you like, for example, Win 7 Ultimate, to help you easily identify it later. Then, in the VM folder field, choose the location on your computer where the virtual machine files will be stored. You can leave it as the default location, or select a different drive if you want to save space. Then, in the ISO image field, select Other, choose your Windows 7 ISO file, and click Open. This file will be used to install the operating system inside the virtual machine. Then, in the OS edition field, VirtualBox may automatically detect the correct version from the ISO file. If it doesn't, you can manually select the appropriate edition based on your ISO, such as Windows 7 Ultimate, x64. Before continuing, make sure to uncheck the option, Proceed with Unattended Installation. This allows you to go through the Windows 7 setup manually, just like a normal installation. Next, click on Specify Virtual Hardware to expand that section. This is where you can adjust how much of your computer's resources will be used by the virtual machine. You'll see the base memory field. This controls how much RAM is allocated to Windows 7. For smooth performance, it's recommended to set this to at least 2 GB, but if your system has more memory available, you can increase it for better performance. Below that is the number of CPUs field. This lets you choose how many processor cores the virtual machine will use. Setting it to 2 cores or more is usually a good balance between performance and keeping your main system responsive. Before finishing this section, make sure to uncheck the UEFI option. Windows 7, especially 64-bit versions, can support UEFI with CSM, but it is not fully compatible with modern pure UEFI Class 3 systems, so Legacy BIOS mode is the more reliable choice for installation. Since VirtualBox does not provide official CSM or compatibility module support, you cannot properly boot legacy MBR-based Windows 7 installations in EFI mode. So, for this setup, make sure to use Legacy BIOS mode by keeping UEFI unchecked. Now, click on Specify Virtual Hard Disk to expand that section. This is where you'll set up the storage for your virtual machine. Make sure the option, Create a new virtual hard disk, is selected, since we're setting this up from scratch. Then, you can specify the location for the virtual hard disk file. By default, it will be saved in your VM folder, but you can change this to another drive if you want to save space on your main drive. Then, set the disk size. For Windows 7 64-bit, it's recommended to allocate at least 20 GB, but if you plan to install programs or store files, you might want to increase it to 50 GB or more. Once everything is set, click Finish to create your virtual machine. Make sure your virtual machine is selected, then click Settings. In the Settings window, go to System, and then open the Motherboard tab. Here, set the boot device order so that the optical drive is placed above the hard disk, ensuring the Windows 7 ISO boots first during installation. Then, set the chipset to PX3, as Windows 7 works more reliably with this option compared to the Intel ICH9 chipset. Set TPM to None, since Windows 7 does not support TPM. For the pointing device, choose USB tablet for better and smoother cursor control inside the virtual machine. Make sure the UEFI option is unchecked since Windows 7 does not support native UEFI. Also confirm that Secure Boot is disabled, as Windows 7 does not support it. Next, go to Display, and then select the Screen tab. Here, set the video memory to the maximum value available for better performance and smoother visuals inside the virtual machine. Then, set the graphics controller to VirtualBox SVGA, which is designed for Windows 7 and later. It offers the best compatibility for Windows 7 and works properly with guest editions, ensuring smoother performance and better integration with the virtual machine. It also supports optional 3D acceleration, which can improve graphics performance if enabled. Because of these advantages, VirtualBox SVGA is the recommended choice when running Windows 7 in VirtualBox. In this tutorial, I'm not enabling 3D acceleration, since I'll explain how to enable Windows 7 arrow effects in a later tutorial. However, you can enable it now if you want. Once everything is configured, click Finish to apply the settings and complete the virtual machine setup. Next, make sure your virtual machine is selected, then click Start. This will boot the virtual machine using the Windows 7 ISO file you attached earlier. When the boot screen appears, make sure the virtual machine is active and click inside the window. If you see the message "Press any key to boot from CD or DVD," press any key immediately. If you miss this step, the VM may skip the installer and boot into an empty system, so timing is important. Once you press a key, the Windows 7 setup will begin loading files. Once the system finishes loading, you will be taken to the Windows setup screen. There, you can choose your preferred language, time and currency format, and keyboard or input method. After selecting the options, click Next to continue. On the next screen, click Install Now to begin the installation process. The setup will begin preparing the installation. You may see a short loading screen while Windows loads the required files. Next, you will be shown the license terms. Check the box to accept the agreement, and click Next. Next, you will be asked to choose the installation type. Select Custom, Advanced. It allows you to manually select the virtual hard disk where Windows will be installed, instead of upgrading an existing system. Next, you will be taken to the disk selection screen. Here, you'll see the unallocated space on your virtual hard disk. Select it, then click Drive Options, Advanced, to access more options. Next, click New, set the partition size if needed, and then click Apply. When prompted, confirm the action to allow Windows to create additional required system partitions automatically. If needed, you can repeat this process to create more partitions, but for most users, a single partition is enough. Once done, select the primary partition and click Next to continue with the installation. After you click Next, Windows 7 will begin the installation process. You'll see several stages, including copying Windows files, expanding files, installing features, and installing updates. This process may take some time depending on your system performance. During the installation, your virtual machine will restart automatically one or more times. When it restarts, do not press any key if you see the "Press any key to boot from CD or DVD" message again. Just let it continue so it boots from the virtual hard disk instead of restarting the installation. After the installation is complete, Windows 7 will guide you through the initial setup process. First, you'll be asked to create a username and computer name. The username is the name of your account, and the computer name identifies your system on a network. Keep in mind that there are character limits, so avoid making them too long or using special characters. Once you've entered the details, click Next. Next, you'll set a password for your account. You'll need to enter it twice to confirm, and you also add a password hint to help you remember it in case you forget. Then, click Next to continue. After that, you'll be prompted to enter a product key. You can enter it if you have one, or skip this step and continue. Then, choose Use Recommended Settings to apply the default security features. Next, configure your time zone, date, and time. Make sure these settings are correct, as they affect system operations and scheduled tasks. After that, click Next to continue. Finally, you'll choose your network location. Select Home Network for a trusted environment, Work Network for a controlled environment, or Public Network if you're on an untrusted or shared network. Once all these steps are completed, Windows will finalize your settings and take you to the desktop, completing the installation process. Just wait a few moments while it applies the settings, creates your user profile, and sets up the desktop. After that, you'll be taken to the Windows 7 desktop, completing the installation process. Once you reach the Windows 7 desktop, go to the top menu of the virtual machine and click Devices. From the drop-down menu, select Insert Guest Edition CD Image. This will mount the VirtualBox Guest Editions installer inside the virtual machine. After that, open File Explorer, go to Computer, and you should see a new CD drive. Double-click it to open the Guest Edition CD. Inside, run the installer VBox Windows Editions.exe to start installing guest editions. If prompted by User Account Control, click Yes to allow the installer to run. The setup wizard will open. Just click Next to proceed through the steps. You can leave the default settings as they are unless you have specific preferences. During the installation, you may see security prompts asking to install device software. Make sure to click Install to continue. Once the installation is complete, you'll be asked to restart the virtual machine. Select Reboot Now and click Finish. After the system restarts, guest editions will be fully installed, giving you better performance, smoother mouse movement, and improved display support. If the screen still doesn't fit properly, go to View in the top menu, then toggle Auto Resize Guest Display off and on again. This will refresh the display and adjust the resolution to fit the window correctly. And that's it. You've successfully installed Windows 7 on VirtualBox and set everything up for a smooth experience. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more tutorial like this. If you have any questions or run into any issues, feel free to drop a comment below. I'll do my best to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.